the voices of these customers were greatly magnified through social channels. It could be things like in the U.S. we have a system called Glassdoor. It's where employees can go rate the companies they work for. There's obviously social channels. Everyone's aware of Facebook that people will come in on community groups and talk about their experience with a company. So the elevation of those voices and the magnification of those voices made it critical for businesses to respond and be engaged so that you can meet the needs of those customers quickly. And what we found is if you can do that well, you build trust. That trust builds a lifelong customer.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Brava Talks. I'm joining you from Bermuda with a very special guest, Mr. Brad Martin, CEO of ATN International. Brad, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting. Glad to be here.
So let's dive right in. I understand that you're a man of many talents. You wear many hats. And one of them is you're the co-author of an interesting book. It's called Social Business Excellence: How to Win, Expand, and Grow Through Collaboration. Is that correct?
That's right.
Excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about the topic? What is social business excellence for those of us who don't know?
So it's a great question. So social business excellence started with a thesis and a premise where the voice of the customer, the voice of the employee, and the voice of all stakeholders are greatly magnified in today's world. And how do you go about aligning those voices together to have optimum outcomes for all those key stakeholder groups? So it really comes down to customer centricity, collaboration, leveraging tools, process, alignment, culture within your business. Again, best suit the customer's needs and stakeholder needs in a company.
That's amazing. I think a lot of people aren't paying enough attention to something like that. So can you tell us a little bit about how you started on this journey to develop this book?
Yeah, so it was, we developed the book. A co-author of mine, a good friend of mine, colleague, he's now the chief digital evangelist for Salesforce.com, Val Afshar, and I worked in the same company. We're both young executives climbing the corporate ladder, and we saw this dynamic of Web 3.0. The customers that we had, their expectation with our business was not defined by our interaction. It was defined by what they saw in their day-to-day on their phone. So it was defined by Uber. It was defined by Netflix. So they had a very heightened sense of what meets their needs from a technology enablement to make their lives better. And that's what we're selling. We're selling data networking, telecom style services to these customers. And we found at the same time that was happening, the voices of these customers were greatly magnified through social channels. This could be things like in the U.S. we have a system called Glassdoor. It's where employees can go rate the companies they work for. There's obviously social channels. Everyone's aware of Facebook that people will come in on community groups and talk about their experience with a company. So the elevation of those voices and the magnification of those voices made it critical for businesses to respond and be engaged so that you can meet the needs of those customers quickly. And what we found is if you can do that well, you build trust. That trust builds a lifelong customer.
It's kind of easy to take those channels for granted. How do businesses in the region use those and leverage those to actively and properly listen to those customers and their voice?
You need to understand where people are speaking. And those people could be speaking through intercompany channels. It could be through things like Facebook. It could be things like WhatsApp. What's happening out there? Do you have systems that are monitoring what's going on there? And most importantly, are you responsive? So are you actively out engaging to respond to help manage those expectations?
So if you could give businesses a preview or some insight into what would be the first step on a journey like this to transforming your business?
So really understanding your customers is step one, defining how we want to serve our customers, and then establishing a culture of that definition of the specific culture to meet that customer journey, that customer need. And once you have that clear, you can start to look at where those touch points are with those customers. That will start to inform you where I should be listening as a business. And then that will define the tools and technologies we may want to employ to listen to those channels that are aligned to that culture, that are aligned to that customer centricity.
Are there any technology tools that you would recommend to a business looking to actively listen that help them with that task?
So there's a lot of systems out there, like the big, large cloud players. to very small, more niche AI solution providers that can automate that back end. And what's really important is that you're automating so you can be quick to your customer's response and need, and that's what helps build that trust. And what's really important is that the automation you build maps to what your business intent is, and that's where you can get a little bit of trouble. If you don't really have your processes well mapped, you may send the wrong message to a customer, and that's not a good spot to be in either. So it's important you do it with intent, and that you do it in beta steps, and you work your way up into more and more advanced automated engagement models.
How do you go about embracing all of this technology and making these adaptations to your business, but simultaneously making sure that it's all secure?
Security is mission critical. If you don't have security, you will have friction with any customer you deal with, and friction breaks down trust. So you have to have secure channels, and there are a lot of very good security policies for all the major cloud players. That's why they were pretty early in this space. The Salesforce.coms, the ServiceNows, Amazons. So they come with very good best practices in security. At the core level, there needs to be trust. You need to have the right firewall protection. You need to have the right user access policies to enable a very trusted connection to that customer. Mission critical.
Excellent. Brad, thanks so much for providing all this insight on what is a very intriguing topic. I've learned so much from this conversation, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for hosting.